So listen, good evening, everyone. Tonight we are joined by the chief bottle washer, no, the developer that came out with Glossa Link, and we're so blessed to have him tonight. Again, Superintendent John Perez, along with Sal. I might have to mute, getting some feedback. Uh, S- Superintendent John Perez, along with Elder Sal Ayala, who's our marketing director. So we're here to really have a conversation tonight with Tyler, and he's going to tell us about Glossa Link. He's going to tell us like the why and how we can benefit as an organization, and how do we reach, again, my whole premise about doing this with Tyler was how do we reach the community that we haven't been able to reach, be able to speak as we say it here in the Hispanic Initiative. You can talk to them in their heart language. uh, Tyler's going to show us how many dialects within the Hispanic community he's got, which is the most I've seen. So I'm really excited. So, Tyler, thank you for a few minutes tonight. Fire away. The floor is yours, and I'll give you whatever permissions you need to share screen.
Cool.
All Yeah, all participants. So that way, who can share?
Yeah.
All participants. Okay, we're good.
Very cool. Yeah, we're ready to go.
Yes,
So,
sir.
my name's Tyler Trayler. I am actually a pastor out in Denver, Colorado. I work with a church called the Bridge Church. It's a medium-sized, non-denominational church. And just a little bit of the background of Glossa Link in 2024. It was actually late 23, early 24 was when Denver had started to be flooded with Venezuelan immigrants. And so we received a small grant to go and basically do some good integration kind of social work, right? Helping with employment and housing and community. And those were our three metrics: employment, housing, and community. And the community piece was really interesting to us because what we found was that most of these families who came had built a relationship with us, but we didn't speak Spanish at our church. And so, as much as we wanted to say, hey, there's a Spanish church over there, there's a Spanish church over there, they wanted to come to our church. And so we started tinkering around with a few technologies that are out there right now for live translation. And what we found is that really most of these technologies are either cost prohibitive or technology prohibitive. And so, kind of the old way of doing it, you'd imagine you'd have the hardware in the back of the church and you got to buy individual headphones that do a whole radio system, and it's expensive and cumbersome and it doesn't upgrade very well. So maybe it has an old data set, but it's not really modular and it's not the latest tech, right? So there's that way of doing things. And then, of course, there's some of the new stuff with AI live translation where you could basically imagine audio just gets pumped into the individual's headphones. And what we found with that was that usually it was cost prohibitive, where they would charge, $150 a month plus an extra $100 per language you wanted along the way. It was limited by listeners and limited by time. And we have some developers in our church, and after talking about it with our team, it's like it doesn't actually have to cost that much. We can actually get it way cheaper and make it way easier to use. And so our hope as we were kind of tinkering around and developing this thing was that we wanted GlossaLink to be so low barrier to entry, so accessible for everyone, so that anyone really could just scan a QR code and it just works. And so when we were developing GlossaLink, it was really important that the cost is low. We do $100 a month, that it's unlimited hours, and so you're not limited by one service a month or what have you. It's as long as you want to run it in any language you can access. We use a few different models, but in general, we have over 250 languages, which includes dialects, right? So Spanish is one language with 10 or so dialects, 15 or so dialects. So 250 different kind of languages or dialects that you could select. And the cool thing about it is that you can have someone, and we've experienced this in our own church. We built this for Venezuelan families, but we had the occasional Chinese person walk in who speaks Mandarin or Cantonese. And the cool thing about GlossaLink is that you don't have to pay extra to be able to minister to and accommodate that new person who shows up for the first time, but it just obviously works, right? You scan the QR code, you show them how to get it going, and it just works. So that's a little bit of the background. John, I'm happy to show you guys a little bit of a tech demo and show you how the actual technology works.
Yeah, I think for the purposes of, we've been talking about it, but now I want to, I think it'd be cool if you can show everybody how it works.
Sure. Well, let me share my screen really quick. Okay. I'm going to try to do, okay, we're going to try to do this. Can you see my screen okay? All right, great. So there's a few things I want to show you. First, this is kind of your login page when you show up for the first time. You can see I'm not logged in. There's no account here. Everyone gets a 14-day free trial. One of the things that we want to offer the Church of God in Christ is 50% off your first month as well. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But do your 14-day free trial. And then as well, just for being Church of God, you get an extra 50% off that first month. One thing I want to show you here as you go through the website, there's this features and benefits tab. It really just explains a little bit of who it's for, how it works, some different options. One important thing, anyone can listen for free. They don't have to download an app. All they have to do is go to a web page, which is accessible via a QR code. I'll show you how to generate that in a minute. But all that they do is they scan the QR code and it'll take them to a web page where anyone can listen, any number of people can listen. Now, that's one style. The other way is the broadcaster mode. Broadcaster is what enables your church to actually be able to speak in English or speak in Spanish and then be heard in any language. And that's what we charge for, is the ability to be a broadcaster. A broadcaster can only have one account going at a time. And so if I've got, Sunday service happening in one room and a classroom happening in another, you're going to need two separate accounts for that. But just to be able to broadcast one message at a time is one account. If you scroll down a little bit, if you're ever wondering what languages are supported, we've got a whole little tool right here, what languages are supported. I'm going to click this and it's going to blow your mind because, it's anything you can imagine within reason, right? So let's just go to this. If we go to Arabic and you want the Saudi Arabian dialect, you'll see a few different things here. I'll zoom in on it. So there's three different things to pay attention to with each language. The first is speech recognition, meaning if you want to speak in Arabic and have it heard in English or Spanish, that's possible, right? You can see green light here, Arabic. It's also written translation. I'll show you that in a minute. On your phone, you can read in Arabic. If I speak in English, you can read in Arabic, and you can also hear in Arabic. Now, not every language is fully, covered. If we click these more obscure languages, let's try to find one. Yeah, so Batak Karo, if you speak in English, right, there's no speech recognition for Batak Karo, but you can read it in that language. So all of these have different capabilities and features. It's just dependent on the technology that's out and the models that are out right now. But you can see Chinese Cantonese goes both ways, listening and speaking, etc.
Can you show us,
So,
John,
uh-huh,
go back and show us for selfish reasons, uh,
yeah,
the different dialects that you have in Spanish?
yeah, that's a great point. So Spanish, we go through here. I mean, we've got a ton, right? So Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, it goes on. I mean, really anything throughout Latin America has its own dialect. So I mean, the
And
list is huge.
you even have Spanish United States.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. So basically every dialect is there, because I know some of the other softwares have defaulted and use either Mexico or Spain. And here you're giving them so that they can hear their own dialect in their own heart language, which is what we've been looking for. Sal and I have been looking for 18 months.
Yeah. 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 Well, and I'll tell you this too. Um, I'll show you again in a minute exactly how the technology works with broadcasting and listening.
Yes,
But just to give a high level overview of it, no translation technology is going to be perfect, and we know that. If you had a real human there, there's going to be pros and cons.
correct.
One of the things that's going to happen with Glossa Link is that it's going to be more literal. That's just the nature of the beast. So if I say, if I make some cultural joke, I don't know what it would be, but let's say I make a joke about football and throwing a football, the pigskin, right? Something like that. Um, it's a high probability that it will not translate pigskin in the way that would probably need to be translated to say the football, right? It might actually translate it pigskin. Um, so there's things like that where you're going to get a more literal translation. It won't be as figurative or fluid or
Some of the
dynamic as you might
colloquial,
like.
culturally relevant stuff to a church might not translate
Hmm.
in,
No,
in the best. It'll translate,
yeah,
but it'll be literal.
yep. And that's cultural side. Theologically, though, the theological library is really good. where when you talk about being redeemed by the blood of Christ, it's going to be able to make that translation in a literal way, right? So the theological framework is there. It's the cultural stuff that does get lost.
Right. And the good news, these are some of the conversations that I've been having with some of our leadership, that some of the like colloquial, some of that cultural stuff might not translate as well. And it would be difficult for a human translator to do it, because Sal and I have seen that
Yep,
in Puerto Rico, where people try to translate some of the more colloquial stuff and it just gets lost in the sauce.
yep,
So
yep.
and the translator has to append, amend, and give them another thing so that they try to understand what they were saying. So yeah, we're fully cognizant of that.
Great. Well, let me do this. I'm going to share my screen again.
Yep.
What I want to do, I want to show you first how to broadcast and how to listen. And then after that, I'll show you how to make an account on here. So first up in the top right, you've got to log in. If you want to be able to broadcast, again, you have to have an account. So our church has its own account, tech@bridgebc.org. It's just an email, and we'll hit continue here. And so now it says, hello, tech@bridgebc.org. You're now under the organization of the Bridge Church at Bear Creek. That's, again, our local church. So you'll see up here, there's a few extra options. There's broadcast and account now. First, I'll just take you to account because I want to show you a few things on here. If you want to set your organization name, this is sort of your church name. When someone goes to the page and says, who am I listening to? You can do that on here. You can also manage your billing. If you want to unsubscribe or change things, you can do that from there. One of the features that we built into is this QR code generator. So if you want to listen to our broadcast, all you have to do is scan this QR code. Now, what we usually do is we copy this and we put it into papers and materials, and we print it out and hand it to people when they walk in. And we actually have a slide too that rotates through, kind of on our TV, that basically it has Glossa Link, translate and transcribe. And so they scan the QR code and they go straight to the listening page. First, I'm going to show you the broadcasting page so that you can get an idea of how it works. And then I'll take you to the listening page. So right now I'm going to broadcast as the Bridge Church at Bear Creek. This is, again, designed to be so easy. You've got a microphone input, and you can imagine this is just like going onto a Zoom call, right? When you go on a Zoom call and you have the microphone at the bottom and you've got to select your input, that's all this is doing. And so one of the things you need to make sure is that your church computer has an audio source plugged into it. If it has that source, it'll be able to identify it. You could see a MacBook Air microphone, or in this case, I'm going to do my AirPods as the microphone going in. As well, you can do any language going in that's available. So if you want to speak in Spanish and then listen in English, you can do that, or Russian, or any of these. For me, of course, I'm going to do English, and we'll do US. And all that you do on the broadcaster side is hit go. And what you'll see is your transcription is going to be appearing at the bottom. And what it's looking for is a pause in speech. You'll see that kind of every time I talk. It's going to be essentially waiting until I pause, and then it's going to combine all of that into a reasonable sentence. And the reason we're doing it that way, and we're not doing it the other way, is that by taking the speech chunks, it's able to create clearer transcriptions. If you're just doing it live, it'll miss commas, it'll miss punctuation, which then when it gets translated, having missed some of that, it becomes a worse translation, right? Because it's just taking a few words at a time and then pumping it out, rather than trying to get the whole context of the thought and then pumping it out. So one of the things that you'll see on the back end, on the listening side, is that there's a little bit of a delay there because it's waiting for a pause and then translating. That said, the delay is not significant, right? Once the pause happens and it's transcribed, then it's really within a few seconds, within 2 seconds, it's translated and the audio is playing for the end user. But that's the main cause of the delay for the end user. And again, we're talking a matter of 5 to 10 seconds for delay for most of these speakers. So, this is the broadcasting page. I'm going to show you the listening page in a minute, but are there any questions on that?
Yeah, one thing that you and I went through in the first demo we did is that what I want everyone to understand is that the difference between translating your music, the music singers versus this is
Mhm.
really meant for just the sermon, correct?
Correct. Um, yeah, so you could think about it like noise. You're introducing noise into the system, and noise just makes things hard to understand. Um, and beyond that, singing is unique because you'll get lots of overlapping voices that sometimes sing, uh, you know, across each other. And so it just becomes difficult to transcribe and translate. It can be done, and it does attempt to if you want to try it, but it will be worse than if you just have clear audio coming in.
So this is really so for your people in your church leaders, this is really meant to be turned on when the pastor or whomever the speaker is, when he is ready to go live, you then hit broadcast.
Exactly.
That way, for that segment of this, so if you do praise and worship and all your announcements and everything is done, what we're focusing on is the good news.
Yeah. What we do at our church, we do praise and worship, that ends, and then we go into announcements and prayer and scripture reading, and then sermon.
So
Right.
that
So we have,
and how it's depending on how you're formatted,
yep.
the more audio, if all the music's on one end and you've got all the other stuff on the other end, then it can run together seamlessly. But if you can't do a start stop, right? I mean, that's the other thing because you could,
Y-
but
Yeah.
you
It's
can
just,
stop.
it's a worse experience, but you
Correct.
can do that. Yeah. So, so that's you know,
Nuance.
explanation on the broadcaster side.
Right.
I'm going to try to show you now the listening side. Do you see listening right
Yes.
there?
Mhm.
Okay. And now, do you see broadcast? Did you see me flip?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you can see I'm broadcasting right now. Um, you can see that when I'm speaking in, text is coming out. Now, on the listening side, this is the page it takes you to. When you scan that QR code as the end user on your phone, and it'll show up on your phone in the same way, it'll take you to this page. What the end user does, they select their language that they want to listen to. Could be Filipino, could be Spanish, could be Greek, right? All these different things. And they'll be able to listen. I do want to show you though, like I kind of mentioned earlier, not every language has listening. So if we go to that one that I pulled up earlier, but Batak Karo, playback is unavailable for this language, but you'll see I'm going to hit start transcribing. And right here, it's going to be able to start pumping out in you know, live time, everything I'm saying in text in that language. Now, if I switch to Spanish, right, we know that Spanish has audio. Let's see here, Spanish, El Salvador. And then I want to listen. You can see it. You can't hear it. I can hear it. It's now speaking it as the text is coming. I'm hearing it in Spanish. So I'm happy to answer questions about that. I know it's kind of hard to show that audio is coming through. Maybe what I could do is I could play it on my phone.
Yes.
Let's do that so you can hear it coming out of my phone speakers. Give me 1 second here. Again, I'm going to go to that account page. I'm going to pull up that QR code. I just scanned it on my phone. I'm now listening to the Bridge Church at Bear Creek. I'm going to select Spanish on my phone, turn the volume up. There we go. Let me make sure you can see it. Um, yeah,
We can all scan it and we can all listen. Actually,
yeah. So the basic idea is as it's happening, it's hearing my voice and audio coming in, and then it's going to do live transcription on the back end for the end user. And then as I'm continuing to talk and continuing to preach or do whatever I do, it's going to listen for those pauses and then start to output live translation. So I can stop now. You get the idea.
no, that's great. So Sal, were you able to hear it?
No, but if you can try to speak one more time.
Yeah. So if you're on an iPhone, one of the things you're going to want to do too is just make sure you've unmuted it. Sometimes there's that silent mode or whatever, and then turn the
Mhm.
volume all the way up. And if it's
Yeah.
not working, just try refreshing one more time. But um,
Okay.
you'll get the audio coming through with it unmuted and volume up. It works really well with headphones because Apple knows that if your headphones are in, you're intending to actually listen to this.
Aren't they cute?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while we kind of experiment with it, what other questions or thoughts can I help with? Any other things come to
So,
mind?
yeah. So you mentioned, um, oh, it's early. So you mentioned that there's a promotion that started.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
walk through how that promotion would work?
Yep. Totally. Let me share my screen one more time here. Okay. So again, we're offering for Church of God in Christ 50% off their first month. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you. Actually, I'll back up. When you come to this website for the first time, Glossa.link, up in the top right, you'll see the login option, or something like that. You'll click login, and then down here, you'll click sign up. At that point, you enter your email and a password, or you could do your Google or what have you, and then you sign up. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to log into my secondary account here. Once you're in, again, this is my secondary account. You'll see you have an account, but no subscription. So if you want to subscribe, click that subscribe now button. It'll take you to a kind of Stripe checkout page. You enter your credit card info, all of that. Right here for add promotion code, you're going to type in Church of God in Christ 2025 and hit apply. And what that'll do is after the trial, so again, you get 14 days free trial, no questions asked. You can totally unsubscribe if it doesn't work for your context. After that, you get 50% off that first month. So $50 for a month there. But that's the promotional code that we're running with Church of God right now, is that 50% off your first month. So that's how you do that. And from there, you hit start trial and get the whole thing rolling.
That is cool. So that gives us at least, it gives us, again, just taking it from the top, is that they've got 100 and some odd languages that they can choose from. They can do it one subscription covers one location, for lack of a better term, right? So
Yep.
if you're a multi-campus church, you're going to need multi subscriptions.
Yep.
Or if you're trying to do a children's church and a sermon at the same time, it's going to require 2 subscriptions, just to give some point of reference. There is a 14-day trial. There is a discounted first month, so your first 6 weeks costs $50.
$50. Yeah.
Lack of a better, lack of just less understanding, it's pretty easy. It is geared for audio only, not audio video. It's also geared for more for sermon and for like your announcements and things of that nature. So if depending on how you might have to kind of navigate how you do your service, but if you do your praise and worship in the front and then do everything else in the back end, all of that can be transcribed and be translated right through the sermon. There's unlimited hours, so you're not have to worry about whatever. The other the other question, you and I discussed this. So can you go over this, Tyler? That when an end user is in, let's say they're in Ecuador, and they want to hear the message from my church, right?
Yeah.
Or not, whatever. Let's say France.
Yeah.
Let's say France.
Yeah.
They're in France. How will they be able to go in, and so will they check and see it in French, or they're going to see it in English to check for their language or check for the church?
Sure. So let me show this again.
Yeah.
I'll go to this website, right? You're at the very beginning here. I've talked about scanning the QR code. The other way that you'll find a church is you'll go to the stream option, right? And for me right now, it's all in English. And so you would say, find the organization. Well, I want to find the Bridge Church at Bear Creek. It's right there. I'm going to hit play, and that takes me to the listen page. One of the things that's interesting about iPhone and Android and really, these multilingual phone services is that you can set the language of your phone. And so my phone can be in Spanish. And then when I go to a website, it typically auto translates everything. And so stream will be whatever it is in that language. find an organization to listen to will be in that language. The title of the church is still the Bridge Church of Bear Creek, so it's likely that they're actually just going to have to look up the Bridge Church or whatever you want to call it, whatever your organization is. But the website itself, the majority of the website itself will be automatically translated to their language, and they can look up things however they want. And then once they're here, instead of listen to the Bridge Church, it would be translated to, that alternative language. Does that answer the question?
It does, because that was one of the things that came up, and one of the things we wanted to make sure that if they're sitting in wherever, that it's their language that's being utilized, and they could be able to click on it. The only thing that's going to be in English would be the name of the church that they would just have to be able to be familiar with finding.
Yep.
Just finding it the first time. Sal, you've used technology a lot. I wanted to give you a chance to just pick Tyler's brain here before we end the recording.
No, it's user friendly. It's very easy to use. I'm really in, one of the things, and I really do wish our missions president, Bishop Terrence Rome, was here, because this would be a good one for when they do their sermons.
Yep.
Because a lot of times during their conventions, we have a question. What if your church cannot be found in the search?
So the way that you get your church in the search is you make that organization. I showed it a little bit earlier. If I am logged in under a full account, which I'll log in real quick. So I'm logged in here, and you can see it's going to say organization, the Bridge Church of Bear Creek. You'll set your account name. So you've got to essentially create a broadcasting account. You need to pay the monthly fee, and then it will appear in the search, whatever you've entered in there. So that's the answer to that question.
It's ABC Church. Oh, here's Bishop Rowan right now. Look at us. Ooh, party in the city. Look at that.
Nice.
And Sal, you got that much power. You say his name and he shows up.
Nice.
It was started with them, through them.
Blessings. I'm finishing up a call here. Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, geez, you say, Sal, you're good. I mean, that's just like that, he shows up. But yeah, so Tyler, that was really, so that's important, so that it's, if their phone is in France, they're gonna pick it, they're gonna translate to that's gonna be French. It's gonna be whatever the setting is, whatever when they set up their iPhone, that's the language that they're gonna see the QR code when it comes across when they go to open it, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's just whatever the phone is set to.
Again, thank you for this wonderful presentation. And I guess we'll
I'll just put him on mute for.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, so that really helps us out. So it's really, once you register, that's the name you put it in. Now, you could, for all intents and purposes, right? If you're just going to be translating in Spanish, you can go to Google Translate and whatever, and translate your name in Spanish and then put it in as the organization.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
So that way, if your church is the Bridge Church, you translate that and then put that in, so it's easy for people to find. Now, that's if you're doing it in Spanish. Now, if you want to be multilingual, you're kind of like limiting yourself, but you could, in essence, if that's the end user you want to attract, then you could put your name in Spanish.
Yeah. And the reality is, most of the people we're ministering to, they know they're coming to an English-speaking church, and so they know, that they're getting into the Bridge Church. They know what they're getting into. So,
right. I'm just saying, if you really wanted to get,
Yeah, and just I'm thinking, even with the QR code, you can put the QR code up with, like, in Spanish, La Iglesia de Dios en Cristo, or Church of God in Christ in parentheses, so they can see it, they can find it, and then go to it. Because I'm just thinking in a broader scale, even during our International AIM convention, where we have our missions president, Bishop Roan, he has his presidential address for the missions department that could be heard in Venezuela, Costa Rica, Argentina.
Literally, it's around the world.
Yes, around the
Yep.
world, because we have 110 countries that we represent. So
Yep.
that's something that his address or even our presiding bishop's address can be heard internationally.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's the power of this technology, right? So it gives us the ability so we have our conference coming up in November, Tyler, right? So on Sunday, our presiding bishop, our CEO of the corporation, for lack of a better term, for your purposes, right? He'll get up on a Sunday morning and he does his national message, international message. Well,
Sure.
with this QR code, literally, if you're sitting in the Philippines, they could hear him in Tongan. If you're sitting
Yep.
anywhere in Latin America, pick whichever you want. If you're in Portugal or in Brazil, you can hear him in Portuguese for the first time.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, they'll be able to hear him in their native language.
Yeah. One limiting factor just to always remember is internet speed, right? We've worked with international groups before, and some have great internet and some don't. And so in the same way that, you're trying to do a Zoom call and you can't do the Zoom call, those are just factors to consider is internet speed.
Listen, if you're sitting in a dead zone,
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? But if we're in if you're in you found a hotspot, you want to listen to the service, you'll be able to hear it in your native language, which is the blessing for this software. And again, when you think about why you created it because you were in Denver, families were coming in from Venezuela. You were helping them out with with food and clothing and all the necessities of life, but you didn't have the necessity yet to be able to communicate with them. And here, out of necessity, you created a software that you were able to now, because families were finding you, but they wanted to stay with you. But now to cross that bridge, you created a translation software to help your lead pastor and your pastors to be able to communicate with them right where they were in their and that's what we're all here for.
Totally. And I can close with this too. We created it even for the Venezuelans, but what's been fascinating to me, we've had two Chinese people, not even together, just they've showed up at our church and started attending. And over the last year, growing in their faith, straight from China, they'll tell you things like, yeah, we're still indoctrinated by the CCP, and I'm not sure I want to do this Christian thing. But this year, we're talking about baptism with them and trying to have that conversation of, do you want to be baptized and give your life to Jesus? And they really are considering it. It's we might actually do this year. And frankly, it's because of the technology that's available, So I think there's opportunity there. And if, there's just opportunity that we're sleeping on if we don't incorporate this into our worship.
So by way of introduction, we've got Pastor David Hightower that's here. He's joined us, and I know he's been interested in this. And his wife is from Mexico, correct? If I'm forgive me, Pastor, but I've just had a rash of names going through my head lately. But they have a Spanish community in their near their church, and then Bishop Terrence Roan, who's out of Pomona, California, but he also happens to be our missions president, so he's responsible for all the 150 countries that we're in. But for the reason why we wanted him here was because we were trying to find a way for him to be able to do his like Sal was indicating, his presidential message or any message, not just with a translator that he's a jurisdictional prelate in Brazil. He's been there for more than 20 years. There he has a very capable translator, but now he's able to utilize this from Pomona and communicate to all the other countries without having a translator.
Yeah, exactly. Man, well, thanks for giving me an opportunity to kind of share a little bit about this. And I really hope this can be helpful for Church of God in Christ. I think there's a huge opportunity here to reach the nations with the gospel. So,
right. Bishop Ron, I know that we've recorded everything for you, so we've got the entire presentation covered for you. So we know that you were attending to other business, but we didn't want to make sure you didn't miss out on anything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know I'm getting on the tail end, but really exciting to hear what you got going on. I want to be able to study it more.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'll have a lot of questions once I watch the full presentation. Your first name is Tyler?
It is. Yep, Tyler. And
Yeah.
let me send my email in the chat right here.
Please, please.
Yeah, you can always email me at ttrailer@Glossa Link. And it's just me. I mean, I'm just a pastor at a church out in Denver, and this is just, there's not like a team, so you'll just email me and we'll help you out with any questions you have or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I mean, I'm happy to let y'all go. I know it's late for y'all. I don't want to take too much of your time.
It's
So
still early for somebody in California. His day just started. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
Knowing him, his day just started. Bishop, I mean, like I said, I know that you, what we wanted to do is make sure that we recorded everything. You'll have a chance to
Mhm.
kind of digest it. We did, rather than sending you screenshots, you can actually see the entire flow, all the, some of the Q&A that we put up there. And then you can certainly reach out to Tyler and be able to figure out how this can help you in the missions department going forward.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it can. Tyler, you're in Denver?
I am. Yep.
Oh, my son's out there. He lives out there now.
Yeah. Where at?
Jesus. I want to say toward Aurora.
Yeah, sure. On the east side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm out west. I'm near Lakewood. But
You got a Lakewood? You got a Lakewood, Denver?
we do.
Lakewood,
Yeah.
Colorado.
Lakewood, Colorado. Yeah. Yeah.
We got a Lakewood, California too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And my sister was out there until she decided to go to California.
That's cool.
Yeah, she's now in Oceanside. But anyway,
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to send out the recording to everybody.
Please do.
So that you have it. If you have any questions, you can reach out to myself, and certainly we can make sure that we answer all your questions. But the promotional codes are going to be there.
Yep.
14 date, everything is there. So please avail yourself to this, and then we're gonna post this on the Hispanic Initiative social media page as well, so that people can avail themselves to the information and be able to learn. And really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is for you to reach your communities, and so that language is no longer a barrier. It is now, you can have a community of believers that speak multiple languages, and you can invite them into your church and feel free to be able to minister to them. This is just one tool that we're bringing to the table. We have others. We also have some other partnerships that will give you not only translation, this is the translation piece, but we also will be bringing to you Bible studies in Spanish. We got Bibles in Spanish. We got Sunday school material coming out in Spanish. The Blue Books in Spanish.
Mhm.
We got it.
And just to reiterate that this is only audio. It's not video.
No, not video, audio and text. You can read it, but just
Okay.
language. Yeah, no video.
Yeah, it won't. It's not dubbing, and but it's the other thing that's very important. It's not saving anything in the back end system. So it's
Yeah.
when you go live, and then
It's gone.
it's gone.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
moving on to the next adventure. But in the grand scheme of life, if you're Bishop Roan who wants to send out a message, and he's in Pomona and he doesn't have his translator, and he wants to send a message to the folks in Brazil, they literally can hear him in Portuguese. If he wants to speak to all the African nations, he can speak to the African nations. If he wants to speak to everybody in Latin America, he can speak to everybody in Latin America. So there's not a place he can't talk that he won't be able to reach, and they won't be able to understand. That's the global reach of this software.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tyler, for your time tonight. Thank you all for coming on. We will send this out for everyone. Elder Sal, thank you. I think our lives got a lot easier. And we thank you, Tyler, for giving us this opportunity to be able to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ in multiple languages.
Yeah, of course.